All right, I'm gonna walk you through how to fill out a floral design evaluation packet. This is the graded part of every arrangement, whether you're here to actually make it or not. I always post a video tutorial and our notes and pictures, so you'll still be able to do this part and earn the grade, and at least go through the steps of what we did focus on as a skill, regardless of absences. So this packet is what you always want to do. We usually spend the next period after arrangement day working on it. And this one does say beginning. Advanced is going to look exactly the same, except for the very last page is going to have 2 additional questions. And I figure advanced, you guys know what you're doing. So this is just a refresher for you guys. Beginners, this is a good video to watch if you are joining the class late or haven't done one of these in a while, or if you struggle. Most students are going to struggle with page 2, which is the math. I'm going to really spend some time focusing on that and show you how it's done. So as a quick overview, every arrangement is worth 100 points, and it is going to go in the big assessment project category of your grade. We're in floral design. Most of our grade is going to be based on floral design. So this is a big chunk of your grade. So again, if you are absent and don't create, you still want to put in the work on this packet to earn those points. 50 of them are going to be based on the arrangement, which is usually in beginning a self-evaluation. So you're going to go through these categories of criteria and rank yourself a 0 to 10 in each of them, and that would total to be out of 50 points. As we get further and further into the semester, I might ask you to do a peer evaluation where you share pictures of your work with a neighbor or a friend. I might evaluate one, but for the most part, this is going to be self-evaluation. If you are absent, in that case, you have nothing to evaluate. You are going to write absent because and tell me why you were not there. Everybody else should have a score. If you're absent, I'm still going to give you some points, but I'm not going to give you 50 because you were not here for that. So half of the points are your evaluation of yourself with that. That being said, it is highly unlikely, if you're being honest with yourself, that you're earning 50s on everything, especially towards the beginning of the semester. We should have some room for improvement. Even I don't rank myself a 50. So have something to work on and maybe write a little comment about what that might be. The other 50 points are going to come from the inside of the packet. 25 are going to come from the bill, and then 25 are going to come from the write-up. And the write-up is double-sided, but that's just because I give you all this room, which you may not always need, and all this room, which you might always need. So the content, it was what matters. To begin with, I want to show you the bill, and this is the part where I'm going to spend the most time on because I feel like most kids that struggle here. And I just want to remind you that this basically is a blown up receipt you would get from the store. We are creating a bill so that we can see how much does it cost me to make an arrangement, what are all the items used, and then now that I know what it costs me, the designer, to create it, I'm going to do a little bit of markup retail math to see how much I should charge for it if I were working in a retail store. So this is not algebra or geometry, it is literally financial business math. So we are going to be seeing things always written with the dollar sign. And then dollars, if it was $1.99, for instance, you're going to have the dollar, a decimal point, and then 99 cents. If in your math you calculated and you got like a third or even a fourth decimal point, you never see this on a receipt, whether you're buying stuff online or in person. So we only ever go 2 decimal cents points. So we're going to do rounding. If it is a 5 or higher, we're going to round up. And if it is at a 4 or below, we're going to round down. And if that is too confusing to remember, you are better to round everything up than to round down, because as a business, we would never lose money in that case. If I see 99 cents, if I see 0.99 with no dollar or cents, these are both wrong. I need the dollar, point, cents, exactly like you would see on a receipt. Okay? All right. In order to do this, you will need the price sheet for the arrangement that I post on Google Classroom. Even if we start to use the same flowers over and over again, like you will more than likely see carnations in 2 or 3 arrangements this semester. You might see the same greenery. You might see waterproof tape again, for instance. Always check the price sheet that is current for that arrangement, because all of these are market prices. Just like when you go to the grocery store, sometimes meat is a certain price and the next week it's on sale, and the next week inflation has hit, or there's a surge in demand and it's costs even more. So those are gonna fluctuate up and down all the time. We wanna be accurate for what we created, especially if we're in like holiday, Valentine's, Christmas season, those kinds of things. All right, so all of that to be said, you are gonna start with any item you used for your arrangement. If I offer you lots of choice, like maybe you got to pick one of these 3 things, you don't need to write all 3 of them down. Your bill, your whole paper rather, should reflect what you created. So if you did not use, for instance, the Alstroemeria, you don't need to write it on here. If you are gonna write everything on here, then you would write quantity used 0 because you did not use it. I want this to reflect what you created. So this arrangement is from a different semester. So I'm just gonna use it, and just for like teaching purposes, I'm gonna say that I used 5, 2, 2, 2, 1, 4, 4, 1, 1, 4, and then we'll talk about delivery charge. So I'm just gonna start writing the items and the quantities. I'm gonna come back for the math in a moment. If you are absent, you should go quantities based off what I post on the notes, because that was the plan. And so that would have been what you created had you been here. And then when it comes to like choice, let's say you made it, but then you were gone for a couple days, so you missed the work day on the packet, and now you can't remember what was the Alstroemeria. I don't know if I used that or not. If you look at the picture you took for your portfolio and you just Google image search these and compare the 2 screen to screen, you should be able to figure it out. Some of these come, like carnations, they come in lots of colors, but the flower shape and the way the petals are, that looks the same. Same thing with greenery. There really aren't that much difference amongst them, but you should be able to figure out with Google Images. Okay. I'm gonna work left to right because I feel like it makes the most sense, and that's how I built this to work anyways. This is what I used. This is the price that it comes in from our floral supplier. And then I have to break that down into how much a single item costs so that I can do the math of what I used per single cost for how much is in my arrangement. Because when I buy, I'm buying for all classes. I'm buying in bulk. Washington Floral is like the Costco of the floral industry. I don't just buy 5 carnations. I have to buy bunches of 35 in a single color. So that's what I'm giving you here. These are from the bill that I got. You're gonna take these and transfer it into what one arrangement costs. If an item does not come in a bulk price, for instance, the carnations here, even though I ordered them and they came in bunches, for some reason there are a few flowers that the industry charges by stem, even though you can't just get a stem. It's kind of dumb, but that is the way it is. So for this guy, we are going to skip that because it's not charged that way, and we're gonna go straight to the per item price. It is 55 cents each. Everything else, BU is bunch. So this guy's $4.75, $9.85, $7.25. These I'm literally just copying onto here. I'm not doing any math yet at all. So I'm gonna copy all of those and get them set. The next step will be where I use my calculator for the first time, and you just need a simple calculator. You're gonna do some division, you're gonna do some multiplication, and then you're gonna do some addition. Okay, these are all each. Okay. My next step is to get these into single item prices, because this $4.75, for instance, is actually for 5 stems total. That's how many are in that bunch. This one has 10, this one has 8, this one has 15. Different amounts in different bunches. I need to know how much does one stem of pom-poms cost, because I only use 2. So I can't even really take the $4.75 and divide by half, because that would still be more than what I used. And it's easier to just do it all the same and get in the habit anyways. So to get this into a per item price, and just to refresh, this is going to be a single stem that comes out of the bucket. Some of these, like carnations, are a single flower head on a stem. So that one, you're probably never gonna mess up in your brain. When you see a carnation in your packet, or in your picture rather, you're gonna know that you used one. But things like pom-poms, alstroemeria, and others like Monte Cassino, they have multiple blooms on a single stem. And so sometimes when students are looking at their pictures, they're counting how many of these bloom heads they're actually seeing. And then they change this to a super high number, like maybe on the 2 stems there were actually 12 blooms. That's not unheard of. They'll get this 12, they'll figure this out, and then their total cost is gonna be astronomical, and their whole total price is gonna be crazy sauce. So this guy is a single stem out of the bucket. These should also be the single stems. Don't rely on counting the blooms from your picture. You have to think about what we took out of the bucket. So in order to do the calculation, we are gonna go left to right with our calculator as well. We're gonna take the whole price for the entire bunch, $4.75, and we're gonna divide it by how many total stems come in that bunch. So we're gonna divide it by 5. So I'm gonna do $4.75, make sure we get the decimal in the right spot or it's gonna mess it all up. And we are going to divide by the total number of stems that come in that bunch. So this tells me that a single stem costs just under $1, 95 cents each. So right here, 0.95, that is for a single stem. We'll do the next one together and then I'll let you do the rest on your own. This next one is different amounts for both. We have a different bunch price, we have a different stem count. So we're gonna do $9.85 divided by 10 this time. All right, and here's what I'm talking about. This guy, we have a 3rd decimal place. So we are going to round. Because it's a 5 or higher, we're going to round up. So this is going to become 99 cents per stem. So alstroemeria is 99 cents currently per stem. All right. All right, to speed things up, I'm gonna do the rest of the math and I'll be right back. All right, now that I have all of my single stems, this is probably the easiest math on the page. This is for 1, and I now need to figure out how much total for that item, the carnations, I used. I already know how many I used, so I'm literally gonna do quantity times the per item price and put that number there. Quantity times the per item price and put that there. I'm doing just like if you were checking out at the grocery store. I'm scanning 5 times, hitting total, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna do 5 times 0.55. My total in carnations is $2.75. I'm gonna do 2 times 0.95. My total in pom-poms is $1.90. And I'm gonna continue on down the way the whole time, just doing quantity times per item price. Okay, I have now completed all of the math for my supplies, but there is one thing we haven't yet talked about that is on this price sheet. If it's on the price sheet, it probably means that you used it and need to calculate it into your total costs. So as a business, we have to pass along all of the charges that we're incurring in our supplies in order to maintain a positive business, right? Like to stay above boat. So even though this isn't a physical item in the arrangement, we're still getting charged it in order to have the supplies here, which means we need to pass that along to our customer. So when we get flowers here delivered from Tacoma on the truck, there's actually just a straight up delivery surcharge every single time. Doesn't matter if I order 1 box or 50 boxes of flowers, we get a delivery surcharge. Then over the entire amount of everything we order, we still have to pay sales tax, just like you do, whether you're at Target, Walmart, Safeway, it doesn't matter. So we still have to pay, and this is Tacoma sales tax, which sucks because that's King or Pierce County, I don't remember which. So anyways, I give you the total of what those two things are, and I tell you how many students were affected by that order. Normally beginning is with my 2 beginning classes, but there might be a chance where I order for all 3 classes, so that might change as well. You are making one arrangement, so you are one of these students, which means you're gonna pay for 1 share of the delivery and tax charge. So we're gonna add delivery and tax to our cost sheet, and we are 1 person or 1 share of that. We are gonna put the total cost for that as the bulk price. And then we're gonna do the math just like we did bunch prices for flowers. It's the same math. We're gonna divide that by how many total came in the bunch, AKA how many total students are involved in sharing that cost. So I'm gonna do 29.85 divided at the current time, 65 students. Our single share of that is gonna be 46 cents. All right, we have all of the itemized math done. So now all I have left to do are these 3 bottom boxes. But honestly, the whole point of this sheet is to get to these 3 bottom boxes. So when we are at a store, these are the items in the cart and we're checking out. This gets us to what we're actually paying to leave and have our stuff. So we first need to know the total cost to us, the operation, the floral shop, the designer. Well, I already have all of the costs for each individual item. Now I actually need to total it up and see what did this arrangement as a whole cost. So I'm literally going to add all of these things together. All right, for this arrangement, it's quite high. We've got $16.24. It cost us in supplies, straight up, no profit, just cost $16.24. Then we're gonna figure out a markup factor for this arrangement, and then we're going to do the math to mark it up, which would give us what are we charging a customer for? What are we gonna sell it for? So in the Google Classroom post where I post this guy, our notes we did for the arrangement, like the instruction notes, a YouTube tutorial video, all that stuff. In that post, I tell you what this is each time, as well as the focus skill. So always look there. This also is going to fluctuate. If it is for a major holiday, Valentine's, Christmas season, if it is for a special event like a wedding or for prom, those things are gonna get marked up at a higher factor than your everyday just because arrangement or a get well soon. And that's just because of supply and demand, and honestly, the market allows for that. People will pay more when it means more. So this percentage is going to change. This particular arrangement was just after Christmas, winter, regular arrangement. So at bare minimum, we are always gonna do 200%. 200% is like bare minimum when it comes to business. Some people will even tell you 300%, but we're gonna go with 2. If this, let's say, was our Christmas arrangement, that would easily be 400 or 500%, so we could get more money for it. All you then have to do to figure out the retail total, what I'm gonna charge a customer for, is you're gonna take your cost for the arrangement, $16.24, and you're going to multiply by 200%, not 200 times. So you have to hit the percentage key in order for this to work. When I do that, it spits out 32.48. That technically is the answer. If you wanna make this nice and shoppy, I would round that to $32.99. This is doubling. 300 would be tripling. 400 would be quadrupling. So it's doing the same thing. All right? Okay. Our last 25 points. Anybody can do this part. This is the write-up. It's the equivalent, I would suppose, to like a science lab report. Like, this is the details for what you did. This is a sketch and some like labels about what it looks like in the end. And then what was the focus or like the skills we were trying to accomplish with this arrangement. And then some self-evaluation questions. What did you do good? What do you need to work on? My biggest like point values when I'm grading is gonna be your sketch and the front, this steps. This is where like the meat and potatoes is. I put in big bold that these should be as if teaching a beginner. So I want you to think about, when you're done writing this up, could you give your paper to a brand new student, and if I had flowers in front of the room, they could create what you made, but without asking any questions. They could do it off this. This is like your IKEA instruction when you buy something, right? So you don't need to fill up all this space unless you need to have the room for the detail. If we're doing a simple arrangement, like our bud vase, our very first arrangement in beginning, I probably only fill up the first few lines. But in them, I like to write shorthand. I don't do full sentences. This is not English class. It does not need to be an essay. But what I do put down needs to matter and needs to be specific enough that I have the detail that a beginner could create what I want. So I'm not gonna write things like cut flowers, put in vase, make it look good, the end. I need to be specific about what flowers I'm putting in and in what sequence. So I should have at least 3. I should say the greenery goes in first, the main flowers go in second, the filler goes in last. If I'm not specifically naming them as well, because the bigger we get with more options, the more specific I should be. When I say put them in the vase, I should be specific about location. Do they go in the back? Do they go in the front? Do they go all around? Are they the tallest in the vase? Are they the shortest? Should they be at an angle or straight up and down? Like, be specific about location. And then somewhere along here, we need to talk about the non-flower stuff. Like with the vase, should there be water in it? Probably. If we're using something like floral foam or tape or some other mechanic, we need to describe how to use it. Because maybe this beginner hasn't ever messed with it before. Just like you guys, it might be the first time. We need to be specific about what that process looks like. The one thing I'm not gonna harp on with this is bows. So if we have a bow in an arrangement, you need to say make bow, put it here, and this is what it should look like. But you don't need to detail out the steps. That could be a whole packet on itself about how to make the bow, okay? So we're gonna list the steps in order of creating it, so it's like an instruction sheet or like a recipe if you were baking a cake. Then I wanna give them a picture of what the end goal is. Now I said I was gonna grade this hard, like give a lot of points for it. I want the content. It's not an art contest. I know we get art credit, but I don't want you to spend 30 minutes drawing me your best version of what you created and coloring it in all fancy. If that is fun for you and you have the time, go for it. But I'll be honest, your picture and what I'm about to draw are gonna get the same points because I care about the accuracy and the content more than the artisticness, if you will. So this should resemble what it looks like in the end. So for this particular arrangement, we had a compote vase, okay, and this is how great my artwork is. All right, something like that. It has a little pedestal, okay? And I'm labeling it because I'm labeling flowers and materials, all of them, labeling. So this is my compote vase, all right? I had fern all around the edges. This is my Sperengary fern. I had salal that is bigger leafed, and it comes all along the back like a fan. These are salal. My main flowers were the carnations. They went in a pyramid triangle type scheme, carnations. Then I had pompons. And then I had Monte Cassino and wax flower as my filler down below. All right, my netting is inside, but I'm still gonna draw it so that the person knows how to use it. And my tape is on top. I'm also gonna label that so that they can see it as well. All right, so yes, super sloppy, super messy. This is same as like a perfect sketch as if it was like a photo. All right, just like I tell you the retail markup for this on Google Classroom posts, I also tell you this, and I should mention it, and it's probably on the notes we took if you were here the day of the arrangement. So the focus is never going to be the carnation. Our focus of the design is going to be a skill or a shape that we are working on, which means that they should be different each time because we're only gonna do about 10 arrangements this semester, and we got a lot to get through. So for this particular one, we were doing a shape, we were doing the pyramid. And then the other focus we were working on is balance, specifically symmetrical balance. Everything was supposed to look the same on both sides. All right. Then these last two questions are self-evaluation. You tell me 2 things you thought you did good on. And it doesn't have to be, especially in the very beginning when you're just starting out, these do not have to be big things. Think about everything it took to make the arrangement. This could be something as simple as the way you cut the flower you did a good job on. Like you remembered to cut each flower and give it a fresh cut before putting it in the water. You did a good job with naked stems in the water. You did a good job removing bad petals or broken, damaged leaves from flower heads, whatever it might be. All right, and then one thing you still want to work on, and then here's the kicker, you have to tell me what you're gonna do to improve on it. So maybe your bows are still crappy. Maybe you did really good arranging, like spacing wise, but you lost the shape. You didn't have a pyramid, whatever it might be. So what do you want to work on, and then what are you gonna do to fix it next time? If you are absent for arrangement day and you did not make it, just like on the front, you wrote absent because, so you have nothing to evaluate, you would not have anything to self-evaluate. So here you would write absent, and those questions would be excused for you, okay? All right, good luck with that. I will post an example packet on Google Classroom, and you can always come back to this video anytime to watch for extra help.